What an amazing day. Today has really reminded me why I love being part of the Writing Project and what an incredible honor it is to be with you all and for all of us to be together. I'm Linda Friedrich, the Director of Research I can't even talk anymore, it's been such a great day. Let's try this again. I'm Linda Friedrich, the Director of Research and Evaluation at NWP. Before I move us into our closing, I'd like to take care of a couple of housekeeping items. First, you're going to find some paper on your chair. And today and then again in the coming weeks, we really want to hear again from all of you in writing. First, through an online evaluation of the annual meeting, and second, in the fast feedback forms that you have on your chair. Following the annual meeting, everybody will receive a link in the site bulletin and Friday/weekend/whenever it can come loop to an online survey. And that will both invite you to reflect on today, and it will also invite you to look ahead to our network and to give us a lot of valuable data. We'll be using these data in our planning in the weeks and months ahead, and we'll also make a commitment to you to share the results of that in NWP Connect and other online spaces. Second, on your chair, you have one of two half pieces of paper. This is what we're calling our fast feedback form. And tomorrow, NWP's Board of Directors and NW senior staff will be meeting. They would like to have some fast feedback on one of the questions to include in their discussions. At the end of the afternoon presentation, so you don't need to write while people are talking, we're going to take about 5 minutes to fill out the fast feedback forms. And at that time, we're going to ask you to fill out this little goldenrod sheet. If you don't have that, find somebody near you who has it and you can see what the questions are. And you may hand these slips to any NWP staff members. Second, my other announcement is that the other really wonderful handout on most people's chairs is this fabulous fundraising tutorial, and everybody should want a copy of this. So you can either scavenge the room for empty chairs and find a hard copy, or even more efficient, you can go to NWP Connect to download a copy of this tutorial. All right, enough with announcements. To close the 2011 annual meeting, we want to look back at who we are, see who we are today, and look ahead to who we are becoming. In the beginning, well, 1974, we were a single site, the Bay Area Writing Project, with 29 teachers from middle and high school and from higher education. Then the idea of teachers teaching teachers was new. Mary Ann Smith recalls the power of the very first Summer Institute. I think about 2 weeks into the Institute, we realized that this was extraordinary, that we actually did have something to say to each other, and that we were learning things that we'd never imagined learning. Because really, there was no professional development at that time. That first Summer Institute laid the foundation for the work of the past 37 years. Teachers wrote and responded to each other. Teachers taught each other and shared resources and became leaders. And even in 1974, yes, it's a great image, the Bay Area Writing Project was at the leading edge of technology. As we now know, this powerful idea and experience didn't end at the close of the first Summer Institute. It could have, but it didn't. Our founder, Jim Gray, soon developed a larger vision. As early as 1976, Jim started to see that the Writing Project had national appeal. He wrote in an early memo, "The project has got to succeed. Its potential, which we've all glimpsed on occasion, is so great that we simply cannot let it fall apart. The UC Berkeley Bay Area Writing Project can touch the nation. It can affect major educational reform. Through the project, we have that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity of being in the right position at the right time. We can change things in this country, and few people ever have that opportunity. Quickly, the Bay Area Writing Project model spread, first in California and then through the nation. By 1979, there were 43 sites across the nation. Funding to start new sites came from universities, state departments of education, the National Endowment for Humanities, competitive federal Title IV C grants, and foundations. This growth called for building a network so that ideas could be shared, challenges could be addressed, and a shared model could be developed. However, in the late 1970s, there was no email, no Facebook, no Twitter, and no cell phones. Despite relying on analog technologies, the network found a range of ways to build connections. The first directors' meeting took place at the 1977 NCTE meeting in New York City. A grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities supported the publication of a print newsletter. Networks of sites in states helped each other get funding from their state departments of education. There were letters and visits from Jim Gray, and there were visits to the Bob Summer Institute and from network leaders. In the early days of the Writing Project, connections focused on the sharing and building of our core ideas. Sandra Burkett Price recalled visiting Bob prior to starting the Mississippi Writing Thinking Project Summer Institute. She told us, in my first meeting with Jim, he basically told me about the model in a real succinct kind of way, and about his belief in teachers, and then essentially said, you'll just have to come and see it for yourself. When I experienced the culture of the Summer Institute, I knew this is for us. It drew on the strengths of teachers. There was a confidence and a camaraderie there that I'd never seen in a graduate classroom. As the Writing Project network grew and sites sought to more fully serve communities with students who traditionally didn't have access to and success in college, groups of sites came together to address this challenge. Richard Sterling, NWP Executive Director Emeritus, recalled proposing and receiving a grant for $1 million from the DeWitt Wallace Reader's Digest Fund. The cornerstone of the Urban Sites Network was second language, diversity in leadership and participation in the Writing Project, and the ability of low-income students to learn. And the fact that we put diversity at the center of this, as well as second language issues, was something that really went to the heart of it for all the people who participated. And it was a thrilling moment because it felt like we were finally being given the resources to put education and its problems on the front burner. By 1991, the NWP network had grown to 127 sites in 39 states. With strong local support and a willingness to take on key educational challenges, the National Writing Project was poised for federal funding. Building on the work of the Bay Area Writing Project, work in Mississippi, and the growing national network, we secured congressional support and federal funding of $1.95 million. With federal funding came new opportunities and new responsibilities. Not only did the network continue to grow geographically, reaching all 50 states by 2002, we also continued confronting ongoing questions and emerging educational challenges. Publishing teachers' writing, reaching underserved students, engaging teachers in research, using technology, addressing new definitions of scientifically based research, and integrating digital tools into classrooms and professional development. Across all of these areas, Writing Project values remain constant. We bring together teacher voices from around the country to address today's pressing educational challenges. Michael Thompson, a member of the English Language Learners Network leadership team, recently reflected on the importance of our national network. But at the National Writing Project level, someone like myself, who is deeply involved in Native education and in ELL education and in rural education, can talk to people from a wide range of other areas with other interests and discover where there's overlap, discover where there's difference, discover how the good teaching of writing transcends some of those borders. So to me, that is the exciting part. It's that the conversation gets carried from what is really intense and regional and in-group to a much larger, broader audience where it has a chance to get heard. Today, we continue to both transcend borders and work in intensely local ways. We have 197 sites located in 50 states, the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. Our sites are within 50 miles of 76% of all U.S. teachers. We provide service to 3,200 school districts annually. Of the teachers who participate in the Invitational Summer Institute, 77% stay in teaching and 97% stay in education. Through NWP's legacy study, we learned that teachers who participate in the Writing Project Summer Institute see a lasting impact. 88% reported being influenced by their writing project experience, 89% reported drawing on writing project knowledge and skills, and nearly 91% indicated that writing project attitudes and values continue to influence their work. Today, we continue to write and respond to each other's writing. Teachers continue to teach teachers. We continue to learn and lead together, working with all students, using digital tools, and effecting reform in our schools. Today, our core principles continue to connect us. Together we are one, we are strong, and we continue to have the opportunity to change the nation. Thank you. And I'm now thrilled to introduce my friend, my colleague, Laura Stokes from Inverness Research. As many of you know, Inverness Research has played the role of NWP's external evaluator since 1994.
Hello, everyone. Greetings from Inverness Research. I'm really thrilled. As Linda said, we've been working with the Writing Project for a long time. I'm thrilled to be here today. I'm also aware that I'm standing between you and the social hour, meaning food and etc. And that realization is made more painful by my becoming aware recently of very solid research that says that when people are hungry, they are less inclined to be generous and empathetic. It turns out there's a correlation between glucose in the brain and these traits. And this was research done on what time of day prison convicts were granted parole or not granted parole. And if you came up after lunch, you were much more likely to be granted parole than if you came up right before lunch. This is really true. I'm not lying. But it works both ways. People who are full are kinder and more generous. And I was thinking, as I was listening earlier today, that as you develop new fundraising skills, one of the things you might do is to make appointments with wealthy people right after lunch or right after breakfast. So, seriously. Actually, that is serious. That's really true research. At Inverness Research, as Linda said, we've studied the Writing Project for about 15 years now, and we've also studied dozens of other projects where people tried to build networks or tried to take a good idea to national scale. So the thoughts I'm sharing with you today come mainly from what we know about the Writing Project, but also with an understanding of how the Writing Project is different from almost all other projects. Now, I want this thing to work. I'm not sure what do I aim this at? Did it work? It worked, thanks. After a long period of dependence on federal dollars, the dramatic shift in the federal funding scene puts the writing project into the position of making an evolutionary leap forward. This is a very natural process that happens to everything. And I want to offer a perspective on that leap. I'll offer three lenses on what we think makes the writing project strong going forward. First, some reminders about what the writing project has been able to build. Here's a picture of the accumulated teacher leadership development since the Barrier Writing Project's first institute in 1974. The next phase of the writing project is standing on the shoulders of this leadership. Sites have offered well over 1.5 million program hours just since 1994, when we began tracking this data. Every single hour takes planning, design thinking, and expertise. Beyond the thousands of students served in youth and community programs, the Writing Project reaches students indirectly through the teachers who participate in Writing Project programs. Institute participants alone have taught well over 6 million students, and I think that's probably a very low estimate. The usual dilemma that happens when people try to take a good idea and build it to national scale is that fidelity and rigor suffer, that quality diminishes. This is a real complaint of funders. In the Writing Project, though, that doesn't happen. Across the network, the quality of the Writing Project institutes is reliably high year in and year out. The Writing Project is one of very few professional development projects that involve people in multiple content areas. It might be one of the only ones. Another sign of its quality is that the practical value of the institutes is high, no matter what subject participants teach. The Writing Project really does make good on the claim that writing is important throughout the curriculum. This graph, I don't know if you can see the bottom, but this graph compares language arts teachers' ratings with the ratings of teachers of all other subject areas, math, science, and so on. Within the Writing Project model, there are very many ways that sites create generative structures for professional development where teachers are respected, excited, and can deeply explore and study writing and teaching. The Writing Project model relies upon local site entrepreneurialism as well as adherence to core values. From our perspective, studying multiple other kinds of projects, often in science and math at Inverness Research, the Writing Project, we know that the Writing Project is the envy of just about everyone else out there. What makes it so strong? Just as one clue, I quote from a really good new book I'd recommend to you, Drive. I don't know how many of you have read Drive or seen Drive, by Daniel Pink. By the way, his Why I Write tweet was, because I never could hit a curveball. It's basically a business book about what makes people tick. The key words in this quote are autonomous and connected. Our answer to what makes the Writing Project so strong is deceptively simple. Kind of brings us back to the basics. The Writing Project is truly a networked organization. It's not a top-down franchise where everyone produces the same limp cheeseburger, nor is it simply a pass-through or a grant-making organization. As a network of sites and of people, it has particular attributes. It's unified by a shared mission and shared experiences and values. At the same time, it encourages site entrepreneurialism, individuality, and leadership development, the trajectories that are right for a wide range of people. A network is a uniquely effective kind of organization because the structure of a network mirrors this deep human desire for both autonomy and belonging. There's a lot written on networks, including in the business world, because they're cost efficient, they're flexible, and they're effective, and because they are not simple to build, nor are they easy to lead. Many of the projects we work with, as I said, wish they knew how to create a strong and lasting network. And it's important that you don't take this for granted. You're in a network. It's like the air that you breathe. You're in the writing project. It's important that you don't take for granted what you're a part of. So it's worth looking again at the ABCs of a network. Structurally, they're extremely simple. There's 3 parts, and all of them are important. There's hubs, links, and affiliates. This diagram is from a recent book. It's very short and readable, Designing the Networked Organization by Ken Everett. It's not a book about education. It's a case of a business. And so you can tell that to all those MBAs out there who want to apply business models to education. Whoop. Sorry, I'm not good with this clicker yet. Let's look at the advantages of networks. First of all, a lone organization in a locality has a relatively weak voice in the broad political ecology. A network of organizations, though, is an entity that can speak with a louder voice than any given member. That is, can more strongly represent the member's interests in the funding environment. And the arrows go both ways. A member's unique strengths and a member's external linkages also contribute to and benefit the collective. The writing project model is such that every site also becomes a local network of organizations and of people. Sites create links among teachers who are ordinarily isolated from one another. Sites link schools and districts to one another. And sites link other disparate organizations together around a common mission. What really matters in a network is the flow of information and resources back and forth across the links. Over time, the Writing Project has constructed many kinds of these links. They enable the flow of ideas and know-how, and they also enable practices that promote quality and careful stewardship of the Writing Project mission and core values. It's especially notable that this year, in the midst of deep change, the Writing Project leadership found a way to hold this meeting as a way for everybody to connect. The education landscape is littered with good ideas that did not grow out of infancy. Starting up a brand new professional organization and making it grow and last is really challenging. The role of the Writing Project Network is not only to provide startup funds to new sites, but also to link them to experienced people, to field-tested practices, and to multiple other resources. We did a study a few years ago of cohorts of new sites, and it showed that when sites hatch or are born and grow inside this Writing Project home or nest, they triple the amount of work they can do within 5 years. They don't die, they triple the amount of work they can do in the first 5 years. Finally, let's consider how the Writing Project's over 3,000 site years of experience and its powerful network structure position it to make an evolutionary leap into the future. Here again is a deceptively simple and yet highly important idea. The accumulated capacity that this network structure and networked people have built over time has generated a large fund of capital of multiple types. These are all the assets that you are now drawing upon to build your future. Human capital, the people, the leadership, the expertise of the Writing Project people, and they are everywhere in the country, thousands and thousands of them. Knowledge capital, the storehouse of practical knowledge that you have about professional development, what you know from your own work and from research about writing and about teaching writing, and your ability to generate more knowledge and spread it. Design capital, you really know how to design the generative structures for professional development that enable teachers to really think and learn and lead. Social capital, very simple, all the relationships that you have with people. Institutional capital, the Writing Project is extremely good at building partnerships. Local sites build partnerships, the National Network builds partnerships. These are powerful, this is a powerful fund of capital that you have. And even though you got swept away in the tide of federal calamity that is sweeping everybody away, you still have political capital. You have visibility, you have voice, you have reputation, and you have a track record. That's a lot of political capital. So when we at Inverness reflect on how the writing project can best make this leap into an uncertain, admittedly uncertain future, we simply point out that your development of the network is what has enabled you to produce the multiple assets that you are now using to build your next iteration. And therefore, we think and we sort of suggest strongly that continued investment in and stewardship of the network, and by that we mean all the parts, the sites and the central offices and all the links between them. Investing in all of that is what positions you best for your future. Now, Mark St. John was not able to be here today. Many of you have seen him and know him. And when I was talking with him a few days ago about this presentation, he said, look, it's simple. Just tell them one thing. Tell them what Ben Franklin said when he signed the Declaration of Independence. Thanks a lot.